Hello and welcome to Mother Tongue, the podcast where modern motherhood meets real life. I'm Marianne, founder, podcast host, and mum of three, and I created this space for all the mums who are juggling it all. From toddlers and tantrums to businesses and burnout, we're talking about what it actually takes to build a life, a career, and a family all at once. Here, you'll hear honest, unfiltered conversations with founders, freelancers, experts, and everyday mums about work, wellness, identity, mental health, relationships, and everything we carry that no one talks about. Hit follow, join our community, We Are Mother Tongue, and tune in for real talk that supports the whole you, because modern motherhood is busy and no one should do it all alone.
We are so incredibly excited to welcome the one and only Jo Malone to Mother Tongue. Jo, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And thank you for inviting me. It's a lovely hot day in Dubai and we're sitting by the fire.
It's a bit surreal. In fact, it's all surreal on all counts. The fact that you're here after wanting you on the podcast for such a long time, honestly, it feels like such an honour. And I am very excited to get into today's discussion. I feel like there's so much for us to go through, but I want to take it back to the very beginning, start off with, to talk about your own childhood and the start of your journey and the growth of your entrepreneurial life. So tell us about your childhood.
So I had two very creative parents. My mum was in the beauty industry, hence why that's where I eventually went to. And she started off as a manicurist for Revlon. And then she was then trained by the most amazing woman called the Countess Lubati. And she was the great skin doyenne of that time. There was Countess Charkey and Countess Lubati. And they would look after the elite, the Hollywood of the world. And my mum was trained by her. And I would spend a lot of time with Madame Lubati because I would, in school holidays, weekends, anything like that, I'd be taken up to, they had a little apartment in Montague Mansions in just off Baker Street. And I would spend time in the laboratory with Madame. By the way, her real name was Doris Hilda Baker.
I love that.
She was and she was married to a count, so she was allowed to use it. But she was incredible, and she taught me how to smell like Bulgarian rose oil. She was just so clever. She caused me to smell. And I think she was one of the most important people in my life who taught me the appreciation of ingredients, textures. And it wasn't until I was much older that I discovered I had dyslexia. So that training in the very beginning as a young child was probably very, very, very valuable.
So how old were you at this point? Can I just
5,
ask?
6.
Oh, wow.
I was 7 years old when I made my first face mask, and it was slippery elm powder, camphor oil, eucalyptus, and some avocado oil. I mixed it. I can remember doing it, so I did it yesterday in a little pestle and mortar. So that was kind of a very different childhood. And then the other side, my father, who I adored my father, never really left his side. And he was the most brilliant artist. He was he could paint with oils, acrylic, watercolor, you name it. My father could do anything. And he was also, he was an architect. So when the Tower of London burnt down, you probably don't remember that. My father was one of the people called in by English Heritage to come and help restructure and rebuild. So he's a brilliant, brilliant man. He was also a magician. He was a part of the Magic Circle.
Stop.
And he was a huge poker player. So there was the very creative side of my father, but a very naughty side of my father as well. And I was put in charge to try and keep him in order. So I would go to the markets with him on a Saturday morning and help him sell the paintings. I would also be the magician's assistant. So I would look after white rabbits. And I had a little pet dove called Suki. And she would sit on my shoulder and she would coo and she would appear from a pan of fire. And then she'd look at me and she'd land straight on my shoulder and come and find me. And then I would go to the poker games with him on a Sunday evening. And he taught me to read marked cards. So at the age of 7, 8, in my little kilt with my little Clark's sandals, I would sit in the corner and I twiddled my hair like that to tell him what everyone had in their hand because he couldn't see. So it was an eclectic childhood. It was never dull. There was very little money though. So from the age of 11, I was really the responsible one. And my mum and dad they always were fighting. There was always an argument in the house. And I was the one that really kind of made our family life and our home kind of work. I had a sister 5 years younger. And that was never a particularly easy relationship. But anyway, we got through it. I think because I was her sister, but I was in the role of a mother. And, that's always quite difficult. But yeah, a very eclectic childhood. Left school when I was 15. I had no qualifications. And that's when my journey really began. My first job was in a little flower shop in Belgravia. And that was where my journey began, with my sense of smell, being an entrepreneur, and finding my way.
So I've listened to quite a few podcasts where you've been interviewed in the past, and you talk a lot about your sense of smell. And I find it fascinating because it's not often that you hear about people who have this incredible sense of smell. And the way you describe it is, it's so fascinating. And I just want to understand, when did you realize that you had almost this superpower, that your nose worked differently to everybody else's?
Probably in the last 30 years. I mean, I didn't
Really?
realize it as a child, because as a child, I thought everyone could smell what I could smell. And I had no idea. But that actually, when I look back on it now, because of that severe dyslexia, and I also had a lazy eye, so I was blind. Well, I am blind in one eye anyway. And I think your body compensates and it reevaluates itself. And my brain kind of was like, okay, you can't do that and that, but you can do that, and you can do that, and you can do that. So from a young age, I've concentrated on the things I could do, not the things I couldn't. And I knew my sense of smell was incredible. And as each day kind of unraveled, I would think, and smells would make me feel certain things, like the smell of caramel or sugar made me irritable. And the smell of, like, if we were making a nourishing cream with orange and geranium, I would feel this feeling of like stroking life. It's soothing. It's okay. It's all right. So all of these notes, and even today, I have this language with it. It's almost a kind of a friendship, and understanding what each emotion is triggered for me. And as a child, I found great comfort in that, that was my language and my purpose. And working in the flower shop, I would go early in the morning to Covent Garden at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and we'd gather all the tulips and the roses and the eucalyptus and all the flowers for the flower shop. And they'd bring out some buckets, and I'd pick up the roses and I'd smell the stems, and I say, they're 3 days old. Can I have the fresh ones? And I was only 16 years old. And, in Covent Garden, it's very gallblammy, East London sort of thing. And there was a porter called Steak and Kidney. His name was Sydney. And he'd come out. I don't think you've heard this story. He'd come out and he'd go, I'm telling you, she'll know that I'm 3 days old. Just give Jo the fresh ones. Just give her the fresh ones. Don't. And I would smell and I go, yep, take a box of those. And so we'd get them back. And I learned to trust my nose like a dog does.
Wow. Fascinating. And I mean, do you smell everything in the same way? Could you smell, for example, like a fire or a bad smell? Is it the same with everything, or is it just?
Yeah, no, I can. I mean, now I understand what it is. And of course, I also have something called synesthesia. So I see colour. So your trousers are a mocha, amber, flecks of like a fleck of vetiver through it, and probably a tiny little white belle de nuit. So you're seeing the print of your trousers. I can smell. I'm formulating in my head, and it's the most natural thing in the world. It comes so naturally. And so I had all these things. So I think my sense of smell became something I could trust. Like I would walk into the house, and if my dad was wearing Guerlain Vetiver, he was going to poker. If my mum was wearing Margrief by Carven, she was going up to London to work. If she was wearing Joy, she'd be going out for dinner. So I knew when the dog was sick. I knew it's going to rain. I knew, I used to love the smell of when we grew up, there was wooden fences. And in the summer, it was one of the oils that they used to put in the thing. And when the sun used to hit it, it always reminded me of coming home from school. There was all these kind of smells.
Yeah, nostalgic.
And like little trigger kind of memories.
Oh, that's incredible. And I want to ask about the dyslexia, because obviously you said you were told you had dyslexia quite early on. And I mean...
Not until I was 17.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because back then, even when I was at school, people didn't talk about dyslexia, ADHD, autism, anything that is very widely talked about today. How did that diagnosis come about, and how was your experience going through that?
Well, I was never diagnosed. I mean, it was eventually found out, and someone said to me, because I couldn't tell the time, I couldn't tell my left or my right. I used to, when I read something, and it still happens to me, I'll suddenly stutter because the word is kind of, certain letters run around on the page, and I'm chasing them, trying to figure out what the sentence is. And when that happens to you as a child, and you're in a classroom and you're always last, and you're made to stand on your chair and told you were lazy and stupid, I knew I wasn't. I mean, luckily, I knew I wasn't lazy and stupid. I knew I was smart and I knew I worked hard, but I couldn't learn in the same way that everybody else has. And actually, I just did a big speech at a school on Monday, and I asked, do we have any dyspraxics, dyslexics, autistic? And some children put their hand up. I said, do you realise what a special gift we have? And that's what life has taught me, that I don't have a disability. I have the ability to think differently. And that's what's made me the person I am. I still can't fill out a form. I still often can't tell. The only way I can tell my left and my right is if I blink, because if I blink, I can't see out of that eye. But if you're driving a car, that's pretty dangerous because I've normally gone past with the corner I was going to turn. So I don't drive. And telling the time was so difficult for me. I just couldn't get it because it's that left and that's that right kind of thing. But I could do things that most people couldn't do. I could memorize because of dyslexia. Your memory is your thing. So I could recall every single minute of what had happened. And so, but my childhood was different. And sitting exams, I never sat one exam. I never even went to the last few months of school. I mean, I left before. I was so determined to go get myself a job and get on with it because I knew I was never going to go to uni or college or have any of those kind of qualifications.
That's incredible, though, that you had, because I mean, a lot of people could go in the other way, just not feel sorry for themselves, but feel downbeaten. And, it's very, very difficult, especially if you don't have parents who are kind of like, yes, this is going to be okay. And they're working together as a team. You mentioned then that they always were fighting and you felt like you had to be the adult. The fact that you then went on to do all the incredible things that you've done is extraordinary. And I mean, you really must have had that entrepreneurial spirit from a really young age.
Probably. Yep.
When did you realize that you had an idea that you were going to build something really very special? When did you think, gosh, screw the dyslexia. I'm going to go and I'm going to make the magic happen? Because again, that's really bold, because I think back then I wouldn't have felt the same way if I was in the same situation.
My first face clinic when I built that. And I found that I had the ability to mimic. So people who have different ways of learning will often mimic what they see and learn that way rather than learn in a conventional, I hate that word, conventional fashion. I'd much rather be unconventional completely, but you kind of often mimic. So I would mimic that. But when I opened my first skincare clinic, and I was just newly married, I was 21, 22 years old, no money. We rented a tiny little apartment, slept on a piece of blue foam on the floor. I knew at that point that I worked hard, but every time I worked hard, my work seemed to multiply, and some would say it's luck. I had lots of luck if I worked hard, and that business grew and grew and grew. But it wasn't until we opened the first shop, I think, in Walton Street, then I knew I had something pretty unique.
So the skincare clinic that you mentioned, what was that? That was obviously before Jo Malone London came about, or was that just the beginning?
This is the difficulty, you see. I am the person. So Jo Malone came first. And Jo Malone is Jo Malone now. But anyway, that's another story for another time. But the skincare clinic was where I grew up, and I understood cosmetics and facial massage, helping people. And then I made a body lotion that smelt. No one taught me how to do it. I would just mix these. I can remember this lime oil. It was a little brown bottle. And whenever I opened it, it was as though it was going, do something with me, do something with me. And I can remember the first time taking that out of the bottle and mixing it in a body cream and body lotion, then putting it onto someone's arm. So it was this step by step by step by step. And I had many failures, because failure is the doorstep to success. Nothing always went completely right. I inherited my mother's debts, which I had to pay off. It wasn't all plain sailing at all. But it was, in the words of Nelson Mandela, I either won or I learnt. And those two things for me, I've never been frightened of hard times and difficult times, because I'm kind of quite resilient to find my way through. And I work hard, and I felt very passionate about what I was doing, but it was becoming bigger and bigger and bigger.
So you launched your first shop when? Can you tell me about that experience?
1996, I'm terrible with dates as well, 1994.
So am I.
And within 5 years, we had sold that business to the biggest corporation in the world, Estée Lauder. And that's when the journey really began.
Incredible. I mean, and how did that all, so what was that timeline like from you opening the skincare clinic to selling? What was that space of time?
It was like a sprint. It was like a sprint towards it. It wasn't a marathon. It was a marathon sprint. Every day was different. First day, somebody came in and offered us £1 million to sell. And within 5 years, we had sold it. And I thought I was going to stay forever. I mean, we didn't have any children at that point, and Gary and I were just like, wow, we've kind of done it. It's amazing. And then life, took a very different turn for me. And that's often what life will do. But it was those 5 years. I mean, it takes most companies 10,
yes.
15 to really establish.
And the rest.
And for some reason, I think our naivety, our innocence, our passion, our refusal to accept the word no, we went from strength to strength to strength. And, it was people, the word of mouth and all of those things that make a business successful.
Yeah. And the product, I mean, you created something that wasn't on the market.
No, never been done before.
Revolutionized that entire industry, which was amazing.
And can I share something about your mum?
Yes, of course.
So what's so funny is when I walked in today, I looked at you and I just thought, I know who your mum is. So I used to do your mum's face.
So obviously you knew her when she was probably around my age.
Yes, I did. Yeah, Maureen Haggis, yeah.
Did we look quite similar?
Honestly, it's that bit.
Really?
That bit. And I never forget the structure of her face. So, very funny. It was like coming full circle.
Phenomenal. I love this. I want to talk about motherhood before we move back into where we're at in your life. At what age did you have your son?
38.
Okay. And at what stage of building the business were you in at this stage?
So we had sold and I was working around the world, and I unfortunately have something called hyperemesis very badly.
Oh gosh.
And so I was very, very poorly having Josh. My sense of smell was completely gone. Anything, I could smell everything and anything you can imagine. But I was 7 stone 2 when I had him.
Oh, wow.
And he popped out, healthy as can be. Can you believe that? Your body, pregnancy in your body is so unbelievable.
It really is.
Popped out. And the minute he popped out, I remember my first meal was sausage and scrambled egg. I can remember it as yesterday. But because of all that trauma, when I gave birth to him, I couldn't look at him. I didn't want him anywhere near me. And the reason I share this is it's got a very happy ending, so it's okay, but it's okay.
For sure.
Okay to have these moments. Anyway, that night he'd gone into the nursery, and the next morning this beautiful nurse comes and she says, "Would you like to see your son?" And I went, no, thank you. I've actually thought about it. I'm going to have him adopted. This was all overnight going on in my mind. I'm not a fit mother and da-da-da-da-da. Anyway, she said, oh, okay. And she wheeled him in the goldfish bowl thing, the little, and her phone went. And she went, hold on. I went, no, take the baby. And she said, no, it'll be 2 minutes. Little did I know, she was looking through the window all the time. There was no phone call. And I looked at him. And I picked him up and I smelt him and I felt my body fill with love from the bottom of my feet, and I never let him go. I mean, even now he's 24 and he go, will you get off? it's okay. Sometimes that trauma of childbirth and we never know, all our hormones all over the place. And what I would say is, it's all right. It's okay. Because we judge ourselves. We're so terrified everyone else is going to judge us. And some people will judge you. That's their business. You can't do anything. But all I can tell you is it will be okay. It will be all right. And, I didn't let go of him. They had to literally say to me, look, you've got to put him back in. And he was such a good baby. And the smell of him was so, and I was, then, 3 years after that, I was diagnosed with cancer. So I wasn't able to have any more children, but I look at my life and I just feel so blessed.
Yeah. I mean, it is the biggest blessing, parenthood. Yeah. It is a huge challenge. And there are some days I'm like, oh my gosh, why have I done this? But it is also the best thing in the world. And I feel the same. I felt like this after my first son, and he was an emergency C-section. It was a really long labor, which first babies normally are. And I think people make you believe that babies are supposed to come out and you're supposed to feel this rush of love. And the reality is that's actually probably often not the case, especially with your first.
Just in those first, if it prolongs, then you're going to need some help. But we have to just be more gentle and kind to ourselves, and kind and gentle to others.
I agree.
Because there's nothing worse than feeling vulnerable as a woman, a mother, and you've got this little life in your hands. And actually, before giving birth, I wasn't at all maternal. I'm very maternal towards animals and dogs, but not, I was never one of those people that saw other people's children and went, oh, aren't they sweet? Never.
Me too.
Now, I mean, I just love kids. I mean, I love kids, but we just need to be, and we're not going to get it all right.
No.
And we're not going to get everything wrong.
No.
It's a learning process.
For sure. And I mean, this is the thing. Parenting, it's the biggest job in the entire world, but no one teaches you how to do it. It doesn't come with a manual. So that still blows my mind that you go into a hospital with no baby and you come out a day or two later. Here's a tiny, small human that you now have to go and look after, but you have no clue how to. And it is mind-blowing.
That's where family is so important, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
or friends,
sure. Yeah, for sure. But obviously being an expat, it's very difficult.
Yeah,
and
when you're living in somewhere else,
if you don't live near your parents as well in the same country, you still barely see them. So it's a real big shift in life. And especially if you're building a business or you're working for someone else, adding a child into essentially what is your career, especially if you're ambitious, is incredibly hard. And I know myself, I've really struggled with the mum guilt and the juggle. So can you talk to me a little bit about that? How did you manage raising a little boy and also working? Because that, I know so many people struggle with that.
In the very beginning, when I had him, I was back on the road after 6 weeks.
Wow.
And he came with me.
Great.
So he was always by my side. And he grew up basically on my hip. And whenever I was doing an event, I'd be signing boxes. He'd always be around. He'd always be there. And he came on every tour, which was actually perhaps not the best thing in the world now when I look back at it, but I couldn't have spent weeks on end and not seen my boy. And I think we're a really close, the three of us, couldn't put a piece of paper between the three of us now. And I think all of those things. I remember him once at school when, when the kids are asked, what does your mummy and daddy do? And my daddy's a lawyer, and my mum's a writer, and whatever. And they went, Josh, my mummy signs boxes, because that's all he saw me do. Sign boxes. And there was just so many funny moments. But going back to it more seriously, there's sacrifices we make in life. No one has the perfect life. I'm not the perfect mum. You're not the perfect mum. It doesn't exist. All we can do is try our best. And I think the things I learned was live in the moment. So if you are sitting down for Sunday lunch, you know what? Whatever is going to happen is going to happen. Just sit, have those conversations, include your kids. If you're, a small business starting up and you're filling envelopes, make it fun, make it a game, do a big pizza and everyone fills them together. And we always included our son and actually his friends in the joy of being a shopkeeper and being a retailer and the fun things. And sometimes I got it really right and I exceeded everything. And sometimes I got it horribly wrong. And in the beginning, I beat myself up and I didn't have the mum guilt as in, I should be at home, I shouldn't be. Because I worked from home a lot anyway, I didn't necessarily have that. I would always take him to school and I'd always pick him up. So, and my husband because my husband and I worked together and Gary would always take him off to fencing. So Gary did every fencing lesson for 7 years, every competition. I always went to the competitions. So we split it pretty evenly. And but dinner time in our house and supper time was always a time we sat down, and we still do. Our phones aren't anywhere near us. We sit, we tell the stories of the day and the funny things that have happened. And I remember one particular time, because of my dyslexia, I suppose, the school had sent home a letter to say, on Thursday, can you make sure that your child comes in dressed as the Spanish flag because it's the Spanish flag day? And I went, oh, great. I can't remember what colour in the Spanish. What is the Spanish flag?
I have no idea.
Yellow, red.
Oh my God, your knowledge is so good.
So off Josh went, all dressed as the Spanish, and I got to the school gate and I thought, oh, I'm the only one that made an effort. And then at the end of the day, when I picked him up, I said, darling, why was no one else dressed as the Spanish flag? And he said, because it was the year below. We had the mayor come and we should have been in blazers.
Honestly.
So we all do those things.
Oh, the admin that comes with sending children to school. Honestly, my school class WhatsApp group is busier than any other WhatsApp group in my phone. And it's relentless. The other day they had to go dressed as a dragon. Yeah. And I was like, why? Why do they need to go dressed as a dragon? Why? And there was one year where we had to paint an egg after a book. It was
pardon?
Yes, I know. We had to paint an egg after a book for World Book Day.
Oh.
There was something to do also with an idiom. And I was like, guys, you're actually you're all probably laughing, thinking, God, these stupid parents who are at home painting these tiny eggs. And unlike you, I don't have a creative bone in my body. So anything like that.
I wouldn't know how to paint an egg. I remember Easter parade day, though, and I forgot the Easter hat, Easter bonnet. And so I found a bird's nest and stuck it on his head.
God.
It's actually on my Instagram, which is so funny. And it had orange ribbons coming down.
I love it.
And he's looking at, and he said to me, how did you get away with that, Mum?
Well, see, I love that. That is very creative, very creative. Do you think becoming a mum changed the way you looked at business or the way you were creative, or not really?
I love being a mum. Honestly, I do. I never thought I would. I'm not the best mum, but I think I'm a pretty good mum.
You sound it.
And I'm kind and I'm funny. And but I just love being a mum. It did change me. It changed me. Because I love my husband, but the minute that love filled me, I can't even describe it. And, you know, you've had more than one child, and I can't imagine loving another child in that same way. But everyone that has more than one child always says, you do, you just do. And now I have my godchildren and I love them as though they're my own. I really do. And so I love being able to give back. I love being there for them, knowing, I suppose, because I was, as a young child, I had to grow up really quickly. I never want the people in my life to have to go through what I went through. And I don't blame my mum and dad for that. It was just the circumstances. So yeah, I love being a mum and I love being a godmother. And
also I feel like your own upbringing has made you the way you are today. Yeah. If things were done differently, maybe you wouldn't be where you are now. And
quite possibly.
A lot of people talk about, therapy is a very big thing within our generation and everyone is talking about their feelings, which I definitely think is a really, really great thing, that people are definitely more open now and conversations are being put on the table. But lots of people talk a lot about childhood trauma and they throw that around very loosely because, look, our parents have all done the very best that they've done and we are doing the very best that we can do. You never know how your children are going to turn out, but I firmly believe that I wouldn't be where I am today without them raising me the way that they raised me. Good, bad or indifference, I think it's all made me to who I am now, and I'm incredibly grateful for who I am and what I'm doing. So I definitely wouldn't change that.
Nothing's wasted.
No, for sure.
So nothing's wasted, and
it just depends how you look at it, really.
I think, you know, so, trauma is trauma. If you feel that, you know, you've gone through something and you've not been able to recover from it, and often, so later on in life, I did go through like a breakdown. A lot of it was to do with my name and losing my identity and all those kind of things. But I remember this wonderful woman called Dr. Anna Albright, and she's a cognitive therapist. She's become one of my best friends now. And she helped me through, but she helped me understand that the reason I was going into anxiety attacks and panic attacks was because as that 11-year-old child, I had to have everything, all my ducks in a row in order to, was there the money to put in the gas meter? Was there another meal in the fridge? Was there? And she said, what happens is when you flick that switch of not being in control, and that is my switch, not being in control, you then become the 11-year-old child again, and you don't know what to do. And once we unraveled that, and she said, there will be a suitcase in your head with memories that you've forgotten. And don't dig around for them. But when they come up, don't be afraid of them. And sure enough, she was absolutely right. And over the next 2 years, there would be these moments that would unravel. And I look at it now and I just think it's made me a more compassionate person, an understanding person. And more people go through this than we realize, especially in this world that we're living. And especially actually this generation of those children that went through COVID in education, because they were in their four walls for almost 2 years. And so a little understanding and compassion and being able to unpack.
Yeah, it's very interesting because I think, again, this is a blessing of social media that people are aware more of all these different therapies that can support. And I definitely have been on my very own journey with all that since becoming a mum. I feel like I've just been through the tumble dryer again and again and again. But I'm so grateful for the last 5 years because I wouldn't know myself as well as I know myself now without it. And it has been a massive learning curve. But to think that I went through my 20s barely knowing myself at all, it's quite weird to look back at it and be like, who was that person? People who genuinely meet me now who didn't know me in my 20s, they're like, I can't imagine that you were ever like that. And I mean, whew, I was quite fiery back then. So it's interesting how it all unravels. I want to now talk about the cancer diagnosis, which you've brought up, and that happened in 2003.
I was 38, so I was 38 years old.
Oh my gosh, so you just had your little boy.
So it the hyperemesis might have been connected, I've been told.
Wow.
But it was a long time ago. Yeah. Anyway, I was in New York. I was shooting a brochure, and in the shower that morning, I was kind of, showering, and I found a lump, and it was right there. Didn't hurt, and it must have been about that big. And I thought, well, God, I need to go and get that checked out. And went back home, and often after pregnancy as well, you can get lumps and bumps. There's all kinds of reasons. And went back to my doctors, and he said, we need to get this scanned, and let's get a scan. So went to have the scan done, and I knew the minute I saw the nurse's face, and she said, excuse me, can I just be 1 second? And I just knew in that second that it was really bad news. And then she came back and she said, the doctor will see you in about 25, 30 minutes. And when I went upstairs, and as I came out of the scanning room, I saw my GP, and he'd been in the hospital seeing another patient, and I saw him running down the corridor, and it was like, oh no. And that night I learned that I had a very aggressive form of breast cancer. They could see they knew it was cancer because it wasn't a pebble. It had all legs coming out from it. And so he said, we really need to, get you into hospital, get you a lumpectomy done, all of those things. And it was just such a shock. And I remember him saying, you probably need to get your life in order because I know and Josh was 3. I couldn't believe it was happened to me. And when that happens, you think to yourself, it's someone else's scan. They've got them muddled up. It can't be me. Anyway, it was me. And then within a few days, once I'd had all the scans done, thank God it hadn't gone anywhere else in my body. But then I had the big decision and what to do. And I called the amazing late Evelyn Lauder, so Estée Lauder's daughter-in-law, who headed a breast cancer campaign. And I went to live in New York, was under a wonderful doctor called Dr. Larry Norton. And Larry, who looks like Stanley Tucci, by the way. And he's just the most wonderful man. And I spent 2 years with him undergoing really intensive cancer treatment. I had a double mastectomy. Well, I had one mastectomy and then another one. And in order for me to rebuild my life, you then have to have what's called tissue expanders in your chest, which are not comfortable at all. So you have those, and every week they fill it with saline in order to stretch your chest in order to be able to do the switch at the end. But the chemo was the most grueling one. The chemo was just awful, and I was so ill on it. And they finished one lot of chemo, so I did 18 weeks of chemotherapy.
Wow.
And then they found something in the other breast. I had to do it all over again. And that was really grueling. And he said, what we're going to do is we're going to do it every 5 to 6 days. And at the end of it, I got shingles.
Oh, for God's sake.
It was just,
oh my gosh.
I don't know why I'm laughing. It was awful. And there was a patient next door in the next door room who was a well-known Hollywood actor. And I was bald. No eyebrows, no eyelashes, covered in shingles. So it was like, oh, this is so awful. Anyway, I came to the end of it. And he walked in one day and he said, it's gone today. There is no cancer in your body today. And that's how I had to live my life for the next 5 years. But the incredible ending to this story is about 4 months ago, my lovely doctor came here to Dubai because he's one of the top doctors in the world. And he came here to give a speech on cancer treatment, because cancer, we need to work together as a world to solve cancer, not country by country, hospital by hospital. We need to work. And he is an incredible human being, and I owe my life to him. And we were sitting having dinner in the Casa Vista in the Mina Al Salam, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And he said, I have something to tell you that I haven't been able to tell you. And it was like, oh gosh, what's he going to say? And he said, when you walked into my surgery all those years ago, I knew you would never have survived an ordinary protocol in chemo. And I said, what do you mean? He said it would have come back. It was so aggressive. And he'd been working on this new protocol called dose density, which is why so many women recover and completely go on to live normal lives after cancers today. And he said, I was able to choose 30 women to put on this new protocol, but we knew it was really tough. And I can remember him saying in that surgery one day, would you be the first to do something? And it's come back to me just kind of recently. And I said, yes, I want to live. I want to live. And do you know what? All 30 women are still alive today.
Oh, that's incredible.
I thank you, Larry, and the Sloan Kettering and all the wonderful team that helped save them. Joseph Deesa, Alexandra Hirt. I remember every one of their names.
Wow.
And that was the team that helped me fight cancer. And I've been clear, for 20 years.
That's amazing. That
have
is
all my tests.
Incredible. Wow.
Have all my tests. And
do you
bloods.
still have to get tested quite regularly?
So what's great is I have all my tumour markers done. So if you see a rise in tumour markers, I've got to go and have these switched because they've been in a long time now. So you're not meant to go past really 7 to 10 years.
Okay.
So I'm going to go and have those done, and then I'll have a full body scan. I'm pretty nervous about that.
Yeah, understandably.
But, I've had 20 years. And I think now I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life. And I fought for my life for nearly 2 years, and I'm going to be Jo Malone, and I'm going to live my life as Jo Malone because that's who I am.
Yeah, it is. Very much is. Okay, there's so much more that I still want to ask you about, but I want to quickly move on to Jo Loves because I adore Jo Loves. I remember when my mum introduced me to the brand for the first time, and I was like, this just can't be better than what she's done before. And it very much was. And I'm obsessed.
It's different. It's really different.
I love
it?
it.
Yeah.
The bath oils especially, I'm just adore. Tell me about Jo Loves. So where was the brand born from and what is next for the brand? Just tell us everything we need to know.
So after the chemo, I hadn't told anyone, but I'd lost my sense of smell because I'd had it every 5 days for nearly 18 months. And I thought that's why I left. So I've left Jo Malone London. I've been gone nearly 21 years, so a long, long time. And I felt I couldn't be heading a global brand and couldn't smell. Could I have bluffed it? Yeah, but that's not who I am, and it's not what I wanted to do. So I left and I quit, walked away, had a complete non-compete 5-year lockout, which was very hard. A month after leaving, my sense of smell came back one morning, like overnight.
Really?
And it came back so aggressively.
Wow.
And so different. I felt like a primeval wolf. I mean, I could smell everything. And it was so intense. And for 4.5, 5 years, I couldn't go anywhere near creating fragrance. And I was miserable. That's when the anxiety got me. It wasn't cancer. It wasn't growing up. It wasn't all of those things, but not being able to do the one thing that you're brilliant at was killing me as a person. So when those 5 years were up, I knew I had to start again. I knew I had to try, but it was never ever about, oh, let's just do a nice bottle of fragrance and give it away. It was like, I tasted a global brand. I'm going to go back there and build again. And so I put huge pressure on myself. And of course, Josh thought of the name, Jo Loves.
Love it.
And there was one night at dinner, we were sitting there. And as we started to build, I made every mistake in the book. Every mistake. I rushed into distribution, got the packaging wrong, got the fragrances right. Pomelo, we have pomelo, green, orange and coriander, gardenia and orange flowers, I think it was. It was kind of quite humiliating and I lost a lot of money. I got it all wrong. And then I had to go back and I kept thinking to myself, why did I get it so right the first time? And my husband and I are in business together. So, we'd done it together.
Yeah.
And he kept saying to me, slow down. No, I've got to be in Selfridges, got to open in Selfridges, got to do this. And nobody knew I'd left.
Yeah.
So, although I'd been gone all that time, no one knew.
No.
So I was playing catch up the whole time and it was painful. It was really painful. And then I got to the point of the first time ever in my life, I want to quit. I want to give up. I just fold it. Let's just fold it. I can't do it. And he would go, one more day, one more week, one more month, until we got to the point of which we found the first store in Elizabeth Street, which is where the little tapas bar. And that's when everything clicked and started to turn. And now when I look at her, she's such an independent company though. It's nothing like Jo Malone London was kind of needy of me. This is a child that is so confident and so spirited and Jo Loves is a very free spirit. I don't think anyone owns her. And although my creativity is housed there, I really feel it's this very unique position to be in.
And which is your favourite product within Jo Loves?
I love Jo by Jo Loves because I created that for me. It's a meze of grapefruit. And I love, what else the other one? I love the orange one I did for here when I was in Dubai during Ramadan. So it was a fragrance I created for the end of the day as the sun's set and we went into iftar. Oh, don't you love those moments? I feel so blessed as I sit on the beach and I see the sun going down and I take this beautiful, she's called sun-kissed orange, and I spray it onto my body and I think, what a blessing to be in this moment in time right here. So I love that one too.
There is nothing better than winter in Dubai, I don't think. And I love this time of year when the weather is starting to cool down and the excitement is so rife in the city. You can feel it. Everyone is just waiting for it to come. And I mean, I'm basically now half American. I'm obsessed with every holiday. I love Halloween. I love Christmas. My Christmas tree goes up on the 1st of November. Like
1st of November?
Oh gosh, yeah. Honestly, my parents,
they'd be horrified.
Yeah, they are. They're like borderline disordering me. When they come mid-November, they're like, this is awful. Turn off the Christmas music. I'm like, no, it's here.
I love it too. I think Christmas here is very different than it is back in the UK. And but there's something, you know, like going down to the beach on Christmas Eve and sitting by a log fire. You know, you can still do all those lovely things and music playing, the kids are playing all around. Yeah, I love it too.
I love it. And I want to talk about Dubai life.
Yes.
Because I feel like you love it as much as I do. For the people who don't live in Dubai, and actually for the people who do live in Dubai, can you tell me a little bit about your favourite spots? Where do you like to go and eat? Where do you like to hang out? What are your like hidden gems?
So I live, I live on the beach. But I don't live this glitzy lifestyle that most people think. Everybody that says, "Oh, you know, do you wear diamonds every day?" And it's like, no, I haven't got that many to wear every day, and I don't want them. But I call it my blue office because wherever I go in the world, I need to look at water. There's something about creativity and water. So every day I wake up and I see the sea. I can see the sea in front of me, and it's just food for my soul. What do I love about Dubai? I love the opportunities. I love the banquet of opportunity and adventure. And nobody says to you, you're not qualified to sit there. No. That people will say to you, pull up a chair and come and sit and eat. And I love that inclusiveness. I love the safety. I mean, especially with children.
Yeah, for sure.
But as a woman, I feel so safe here. I can leave my handbag on a table. No one's going to touch it. I mean, I've left my basket on the beach for days on end and I can't find it. And then I walk along and I think, oh, that's my basket. Everything's still there.
Yeah.
I love the leadership as well. I love the dreams, the visions, the opportunity, and the fact. What I love about here is the leadership will say something and they'll get on and build it.
Agreed.
And it's not, let me make this clear. You know where that line comes from. Yeah. Let me make this clear. There's none of that.
No.
Because they make it clear in the physical building of something. And then, you know, and you look at it and I'm so proud to call this my home. And, you know, coming back, what else do I love? I love being on a beach though and watching and seeing water. I love walking down the beach on a Friday night to the little fish taverna on the beach and we call it posh fish and chips. And we walk barefoot down the beach and barefoot back again. I love that. I love the horses, getting the horses out early in the morning, watching the sunrise. I love going into the desert, watching the sunrise, sunset, going up in hot air balloons. You work hard here, but you really enjoy life.
You do.
And you've been here much longer than I have. But each year has been different here, very different. We still work. I mean, I sometimes... Monday and today, I'm, you know, going to be doing 14-hour days. I'm not sitting by the pool all the time.
No, but you can if you want to, which is the dream.
If I want to, I can. But I do still love to build and create. So and
I think if you've got that never goes. That's always innate.
And I love the people. You know, the expat community, and being invited, you know, in Ramadan to iftar with the UAE. I mean, people here are so generous and kind, and they want you as much part of their life as you are of theirs.
Yeah, and I do think there is that sense here that anything is possible, anything is achievable.
Anything.
You feel it's such an aspirational place, and I love that. I've always felt that since I've lived here, and I feel like the rush of motherhood and everything that's happened over the last few years has brought me down a little bit, but it's really starting to come back. And as the new season comes into full swing, it's always this time of year that really excites me. And I just love to see what's in store.
You must come down to the beach.
I love the beach.
And we'll watch the sunset together and let's, you know, because we were living our dreams, aren't we? And
exactly.
Our adventures. And that has to be what life's about.
For sure. How incredibly lucky we are to live here. Have you been, I'm going to ask, I know you've been to Satwa, which is one of my favourite places.
Me too.
I was actually there yesterday. What about Dragon Mart? Have you ventured out to Dragon Mart?
What is that?
So this is where we're going to go next.
Okay.
Dragon Mart is basically China in Dubai, and it's fabulous.
Where is it?
It's quite far away.
Oh.
I'll show you on a map. It's brilliant. I mean, the
lovely.
things that you can find in there, because my husband hates it. You're either a lover or you're a hater. Anyway, before we run out of time, I want to talk about what is next, because I know that you're not done yet. I know that there's still a lot for you to show us. So can you tell us what is next on the horizon for you?
So when we came to Dubai, everyone knows me in the world for my sense of smell. I came here and my mission was, what if I could? So that's always the question I ask myself, what if I could? What if I could build some more businesses with different senses? So what are Jo's 5 senses and what would they be? And so we arrived here. We had 3 projects. We now have 13 live projects.
Wow.
I've just launched vodka. So vodka has just been launched in 120 airports. It's called Jo's Vodka. It's so beautiful. It's a big glass bottle, very artistic, big red glass stopper, signifying the red dot. And it's the first luxury infusion vodka. So we have the artist, which is the purist, the bohemian who lives on a beach, and the artist. So they're all sides of my character.
I love
and we have
this.
2 more as well to come. So that's the sense of taste. And I'm doing a couple of other things. And I have she's only 12 weeks old and has already won the Master Distiller Award for the purist.
That is incredible.
And it doesn't burn. So we worked well, as soon as we can get it into Dubai, we will have a glass of vodka together. But it doesn't burn. And the bohemian is yuzu, grapefruit, bay leaf. But it is in 120 airports globally.
Wow.
What else can I tell you? So many exciting things. We signed something very exciting last week, which I can't tell you what it is, but it'll come out in the next 6 weeks. Yeah, which is so exciting. And it's just that continuation of pushing myself. Went into a school the other day to do school assembly and really, really, really want one of my big missions. This isn't for me. This is for the next generation, is to see entrepreneurialism being taught in schools from the age of 5.
Love this.
And I really hoped it would happen in the UK, but no one really listened to me. But they sure are listening here.
Yeah.
So let's hope that we can do something amazing and that the rest of the world follows on, because equipping our kids with this entrepreneurial toolbox for life, when we're sitting in a country where SMEs, can you imagine what this region could do?
I know.
With that?
Well, if you need any help with that, I'm your gal. Okay.
Done.
We're going to finish with a quick fire round.
Oh, I like that. I like a quick fire.
I've got 6 or 7 questions for you. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. What is one product you swear by?
It is by Lush and it's called Dream Cream. And you buy it in a tub. I was introduced to it about a year ago. And it is it's made with oat milk, isn't it?
Ooh.
And I can clean my face. I can massage my body. You can put it on a child. You can put it, it is, and it just nourishes your skin. And it looks like an ice cream tub.
Ooh,
and I go through a tub probably every 2 weeks. And I love it. It's got hardly any smell. But when I'm massaging my face, doing my facial at home, that's what I use, Dream Cream.
Oh, I love it. Coffee or matcha?
Ooh, coffee.
What is one habit that helps you feel more organised or grounded?
My notebook. So making my notes every morning and sitting there and doing columns in different colours with dots, and stars means something, dash means something. CO means carry over. So if I don't do it in the day. So I've got terrible OCD and I have to have everything in order. And I have to get up in the morning and I have to clear everything away. Everything has to be tidy. And then I'm able to sit down and work.
Yeah, I'm a bit like that. I'm very visual, which I love.
When's your birthday?
Yeah, December, mid-December.
Mid-December. I'm November the 5th.
Really?
So you're Sagittarius?
Yes, I am.
Oh.
What's one of your favourite AI tools or apps?
Yeah. So I think AI is amazing. I'm not threatened by it at all. But honestly, I can't really turn a computer on, so I'm probably in a different position. But and we call it the intern. And so if we are struggling, we go, ask the intern, So and honestly,
the intern's great.
It is such a great tool. Don't be threatened and let our children teach us how to use AI, because it's, I think, and what AI can't do at the moment is it can only give what it already knows. So our imaginations, if only we could realise what an incredible species we are.
I know.
So
It is
I'm not
amazing.
threatened at all.
No, I agree with that. What's one business hack or motherhood hack that you couldn't live without?
I live in the moment. I give 100%. Like right now, I'm 100% here, not thinking of anything else. But a hack, I can't think of a hack. Motherhood hack. When Josh was tiny, we were always on planes. And from the age of Dot, we'd be going all the way around the world. So we'd get on a plane, I put him in his pajamas, and I would take this cologne, which is very similar to Sunkissed Orange, and I would pat his pajamas with it. So every night he went to bed, the minute he smelt it, he thought it was bedtime.
Oh, I love that.
And and I, even when I go home now and I I love making all the beds, making them all look lovely, and I spray the cologne on it as well. And it works for me as well, because when you smell it, you immediately think of sleep.
Yeah, and feel relaxed. I love that. What's a great idea. Go to wellness ritual. That's under 10 minutes.
Pool Pilates. So I get in the pool because I have a slight problem with my balance as well. So if I was running on a machine, I'd trip and fall. So I have my Pilates bands. I like a nice big rail, and I'll tie them round, and I'm able to run on the spot and really quickly, all balanced for a good 45 minutes. So, and I use my lovely pole to do press up. So I do Pool Pilates.
Love this.
And it is, I haven't done it for a few months. So I'm getting back in that pool tomorrow. You won't recognise me this time.
I'm going to get Pool Pilates to try.
But one time I was sitting around the pool and I was doing sit-ups, and my foot slipped and my Pilates band smacked me in the mouth in front of everyone. I had the fattest lip.
Oh my God.
And it was so funny. Everyone was laughing and trying not to. But I then had a very fat lip all day.
And then my final question, what is the single most powerful thing that has helped you either in family life or business life?
I have to say, married to my husband. I know that's a really stupid thing to say, but I've been married to him for 40 years. My life would not be what it is today without him. He's the most amazing father. He's my best friend, my soulmate, my business partner. And I think marrying him was the best decision for me personally. And he's the funniest, kindest, wonderful human being. So I'd have to end with Gary.
And Jo, for anyone who wants to find you, reach out, ask any questions, where can they locate you?
So Instagram at Jo Malone CBE, and we've got a few. We've got our big news that will be announced on Instagram. So
watch the space.
In the next couple of weeks. So at Jo Malone CBE on Instagram, and also at Jo Malone CBE on LinkedIn.
Fabulous. Jo Malone, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on Mother Tongue.
Thank you.